Today I'm back with Jay Jack, and we'll dive deep into his gamified approach to loose leash walking. I loved this conversation. Have fun. Welcome back, Jay. I'm excited to have you on again.
That's good to be here. It's good. Thank you for having me again.
So the last time I had a private coaching session with you, we talked about loose leash walking, and you mentioned that you do something that you call Koehler for people who like dogs. And
So that's a slang term. We usually call it red light, green light. Like that's kind of the name and air quotes of the drill. But when pressed to describe it, I jokingly refer to it as Koehler for people that like dogs.
and I just love that.
It's going to give me a bunch of flack from the Koehler people because they get super defensive, bro. They get super defensive, but that's okay. It's healthy to get defensive once in a while. It's okay.
I didn't realize that was such a hot button term.
Oh man, dude. Well, are you familiar with the Koehler book?
So when we had that conversation, I thought I was recording or you were recording, and I didn't take any notes on what you're saying. I was just thought, oh, this is so good. And then it turned out we hadn't recorded it, and I regretted not having taken notes. And at that point, I hadn't read the book yet. So I wanted to have you on and have that conversation again.
It's
but I read it by now.
It's a horrible book. It's a horror. It's a horrible. Right. So if somebody hears me say it's Koehler for people that like dogs, understand the joke is the like dog parts, not like the supporting Koehler part, because I'm not a Koehler trainer. Okay. Well, first of all, anybody that's unfamiliar with the book, because if you're familiar with the book, you're in on the joke, and everybody kind of nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We all know what we're talking about, right? But if you've never read the book, because there's a lot of people, it came out, I don't even know what, in the 60s or some 50s or 60s. It was a long time ago. I could be wrong. It was a long time ago. It looks like it's spelled Koehler. It's generally pronounced Keeler, but it looks like it's spelled Koehler. And the Koehler method of dog training or something like that. And everybody rails on the. So okay, it's a book. It's purely negative reinforcement and very harsh negative reinforcement at that. It's very harsh punishment, very harsh negative reinforcement. It crafts all the behaviors in the beginning of the book. The early foundation stuff is crafted very strictly, very harshly through negative reinforcement, strict compulsion. And then you go through this foundational series to get to the end result of an air quotes trained dog. And then the last few chapters are problem solving, that if you have already done foundation, then there's problem solving. And the problem solving chapters are where it goes full Saw movie mode. It's like dig a hole. If the dog's digging a hole, you fill it with water, drown them in it, or something. It sounds like satire. It's so bad that you're like, no, you didn't say that. No, you know what I mean? It's absurd. It really is absurd. Okay, so it's the issue. There's two issues with the book, right? One, it is terrible, far and away. And so the people that have found any sort of value in it get really defensive because you're saying it's terrible, and they're get their hackles up and they get all defensive about it. And that was kind of the foundation of early balance training. Not to say that any modern balance trainers do that shit, but that was the beginning of the idea of methodological training and successive approximation, and before there was clickers and before there was bridges, this was one of the first attempts at putting process behind systematic learning and successive approximation and classically conditioning a pattern, and that pattern turning from a classical pattern to an operant pattern. It was there's information in it that's actually quite valuable, right? No matter the horror show that it was, there's information that if you can tolerate the distaste of reading it, there's valuable things to be gleaned from it, right? Not to say that I support it at all. Yeah. It's I can read about, early slavery in the southern states and find valuable information. I would still burn it all down, but I can read some things and go, interesting. I had not understood that concept before. So The people that find value in it get really defensive. The people that are identify themselves as balanced trainers almost put that book under their protection flag because it's an air quotes balanced work. And so it's like there's a lot of defensiveness wrapped up in that book, which is wild. And then on the other side of it, there's a lot of people who can't get the 3 nuggets of good things out of it that are really good and really interesting because of the pile of dog shit that sits atop the 3 nuggets of good information. You know what I mean? And so that book, the minute you bring that book up, you could just see people's skin getting tight. Everybody in the room gets mad for one cause or the other, but you see everybody, like that book comes up and people start getting hot, and it's just like, oh shit. It's like somebody said Trump at Thanksgiving dinner, and you're just like, here we go, boy. No matter which way you skew, everybody's mad. Like immediately people mad, and you're like, oh fuck, you know. So yeah, it's like it's rough. That was one of my first exposures to processed dog training. Like when I was a kid, I grew up with dogs, didn't know shit about training, grew up around fighting dogs. And so I understood living well with very high drive, very aggressive dogs, like living well. I understood how to work and therefore fulfill, but didn't know that was the word for it. I knew how to work and satisfy and fulfill high drive, game bred fighting dogs. And I knew how to live with them well in the social unit. But I didn't understand. I didn't know how to create positions. I didn't know how to teach loose leash walking. They water skied us down the road. I don't know shit. None of them had an out. We had to break stick toys out of their face because I didn't know how to teach an out, you know? And so it's like there was no training, but I grew up deep in the water of biological fulfillment and living well with a being, which is kind of where a lot of my value with dog training has come. It's not from my deep roots in behavior creation, teaching flashy obedience behaviors, but it's in teaching people how to live well with dangerous dogs. So that's where I came from. But my first attempt when I was like, man, I need to understand dog training. You do what everybody does, or at least as old as I am, you go to the library.
Yeah.
And start looking up information. And Koehler is one of the first books that you'll see if you look at foundational dog training books. Like, where'd this come from? How did this start? Right. And so I read it and was like, dude, that sounds horrifying. Like that sounds horrible. And then kind of discarded the book. I didn't look at it. It was just like, yeah, there was a few things in it about molding positions. Like you want to teach a sit, you push down on the butt, pull up on the leash, shit like that. And I was like, yeah, that's stuff that's sort of familiar because when my dad wanted a dog to sit, he kind of pushed on their butt. Like, so I was like, the stuff you're saying is not completely out of the scope of what I've seen, but it just seems like, bleh, you know?
Yeah.
And I kind of like disregarded it and didn't want to deal with it. And then I met a trainer who did Koehler, and his dog looked happy and good. His individual dog looked happy and good. And I was like, damn, that's not what I expected to come from that system. I expected
even the illustrations in the book. I feel like the dogs in the drawings are so like they look so miserable.
It's bad. It's bad. So I was like, this is not what I expected. This is bad, right? Okay. And so when I saw a happy dog, I was like, well, that's weird. And I knew the guy, like I knew him socially, and was like, well, I know you're not an asshole, and your dog does look happy. And I was like, all right, well, work with my dog a little bit and let me see how this process works, because I just don't understand how you got a happy dog following that process. And he followed the process. And honestly, my dog was kind of happy in the process too. And I was like, interesting. I would have expected this to break a dog, not make him happy. I don't get it. But then I saw many of his client dogs, and they all did look like I expected. They all look dog shit. They all look like bad. And I was like, ew, okay. Yeah. Apparently the happy version of the result of this thing is a fluke. It's not, it's not, it's a fluke. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm still not into it. And then I started working with Chad Mackin, and Chad started as a Koehler trainer and then kind of crossed out of it, getting into more relationship-based, motivational, positive methods, and now he skews heavily positive, right? He's not anywhere near that route now, but that's where he started. So we both kind of had this perspective as knew of it, but getting away from or kind of resisting it. And our experience and what I saw time and time again, and the more I was on a podcast with him, and the more podcast exposure got me, the more I met other dog trainers. And I saw a ton of people who honestly were, I saw a ton of Koehler trainers, like pro Koehler trainers.
Mm-hmm.
And what I witnessed was 75, I'm making these numbers up, this is not data, 75% of the dogs I saw were miserable. Miserable. And the other 25% of the dogs that I saw were perfectly happy. Looked like they'd been trained with food or toys. Yeah. But 75% look like abuse cases. Like they look like shit, right? And I was trying to figure out, because 25% is reliable enough that it's not a fluke.
Yeah.
But it's not good. Like 25% is not a good enough result to just 75%. But there's enough there that I'm like, why is that? How is that possible? It's like, dude, my childhood, if you put 100 kids in my childhood, they don't come out good. Like the fact that I came out well-adjusted and healthy and open-minded and not racist and not sexist and not misogynist, you know what I mean? Like the fact that I came out like I came out is shocking, right? So it's like I was trying to figure out how was that terrible of a system. God, I'm pissing off the Koehler people. How was that terrible of a system creating 25% happy dogs? Because that it should be like, if you look at it, it should be creating like 100% unhappy dogs, right? And so I was trying to figure out what it was, and this was
tell me with the loose leash walking example.
Okay, so I'll get specific about the loose leash walking example, but I'm going to finish this a little bit. And this was a very pivotal realization for me. It was on your podcast. We talked about there's different quadrants, but there's different zones.
Mm-hmm.
Quadrants, right? So that was your show, right? So yeah.
I think so. At least it was us having the conversation.
I think it was on your show. I think they can go back and listen to it if they're unfamiliar with it. I think it's in an earlier episode that I was in. But the idea is that was the first time I realized the possibility of negative reinforcement having the ability to have an overall positive emotional affect in its effect on a dog, right?
Yeah.
Because we always imagine negative reinforcement to be either emergent negative reinforcement, like I have to do this behavior or I'll die, which clearly is a negative emotional experience for a dog. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Or it's mild negative reinforcement, but still the dog moves to a particular spot in the yard because it's the only spot in the yard with no sun and they're a little too hot. Okay, if that's not emergent and they're not in a totally negative headspace, but they're still relieving discomfort, even if it's mild, it still isn't joyful. It's like, I'm too hot.
I gotta move.
It's still relief of, right?
Yeah, because you're lying there and you're like not in you're like trying to rest and now you gotta get up and move.
I'm too hot. This is bullshit. I'm too hot, right? Okay, it's not emergent and it's not traumatic, but it is still, I'm only doing this thing to relieve discomfort. And then I realized the dogs that survive Koehler with a good attitude have found the joy in the game of negative reinforcement. Now, that was not intentional. They were the handler was like the line in the book says, like on a long line, you put the dog on a 15-foot long line on a choke chain, and it says you take off walking, and the dog will come with you even if it's just to keep his head attached. That's a quote from the book. That's bananas. How the hell? It's bananas. Okay. But whatever. Now, almost every dog that is the intention of the person. I'm fucking going and you're coming with me like it or not, bitch. You know, that's the intention. And most dogs receive it as intended. They're like, oh, Jesus, I got to go with you or I'm going to die. And they stick with you in order to avoid the beating. Every once in a while, you got a dog who started that way, because they all begin that way. They all are like, oh my God, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
But then after like 2 or 3 reps, when the guy starts to walk and they beat the negative reinforcement, they don't have to relieve it because they anticipate it and they start to go before it happens. Most dogs are like, oh, thank God I dodged the bullet.
Yeah.
But occasionally through complete accident, a dog goes, ha ha, can't catch me.
Yeah.
And then they have this like, ha ha ha. And then when you take off, they're like, ha ha, you're not catching me, buddy. And they get off on the game, the successful game. Their successful ability to dodge the bad turns into the game of ha ha ha, can't catch me.
Yeah.
And so I realized, I was like, okay, if the game of dodge is what produces the happiness, instead of doing a horrible thing and maybe potentially accidentally discovering the joy of the game, let's just intentionally craft the game.
Mm-hmm.
And skip the whole skip the this is terrible horror show of it, right? And so it's like, okay, I've started thinking about trying to find ways to do that. And to tell you the truth, even if you followed Koehler directly with no, I made a lot of technical changes to the way that I do it. But even if you followed it exactly for its loose leash walking protocol, even if you followed it exactly, having a different affect in your mind changes the dog's perception of what's happening. Because if you have a son of a bitch because I said so vibe, they're 99% likely to fall into that vibe as well. It's rare that a dog plays the game when you're trying to hurt him. But just by going, I'm going to play the game of gotcha, it changes the way that you, and dude, when people are like, that sounds like hoo-hoo mystical nonsense. If you take a tug toy and shake it around, you get a very different result than if you in your mind are like, we're playing the game of get the toy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it from you. You're trying to get it from me. I'm trying to show you authenticity, that I am actually trying to get it. And we show them through these micro kind of intentional movements, this idea of a vibe, that they're like, oh shit, you're invested in the goal of the game of get the toy. It brings such a different response from the dog than just shaking the dog around by the toy. And likewise, when I start moving on the long line, if I'm trying to check you to show you what's up, it's very hard for you to take that like a game. But if I begin with the goal of, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you, the dogs, even if I didn't change the technical stuff I changing my affect to one of, I'm going to teach you the game of keep away, is drastically taken differently than I'm going to teach you to not leave my side. That's a totally different vibe, even in the same technicality. Okay, so I'm going to lay out technical Koehler week 1, day 1, technical process, so you can see what it was. And then I'm going to tell you what I do particularly, right? Or maybe we can skip Koehler. Who cares about Koehler?
Yeah.
We already said his own, so who cares? Okay, so this is what I do. First thing before anything else, I do this process on a large flat buckle collar, and I usually use agitation collars. Agitation collars, it's interesting. Agitation collars, when people are not in protection sports or aggression sports, people believe agitation collars, because of the name, might cause agitation, but they don't. The reason they're called agitation collars is because they are so non-aversive in quality, they don't prevent agitation. Yeah. So if a dog agitates towards a target into a prong collar, the prong collar may dissuade that agitation. If they did it into a choke collar, the choke collar may dissuade that agitation. And in protection and aggression sports, you're trying to bring out the aggression, not dampen the aggression. And so the collar that they agitate into can't have any aversive properties, or it may dampen their aggression. I'm not using them for the purpose of creating, causing, or allowing aggression. I'm using them because they are the least aversive collar that you can find. There's no other device held by the neck that you can use on a dog that creates less aversion than an edge, right? And so I use big, wide. They're super wide. On my 30-pound dogs, I use 1.5-inch wide collars, like really wide, padded, like super comfy, like super comfy collars, right? And I train. When I'm getting through the world on an untrained dog, I do use a harness because I'm just going to piss off all the balance trainers. Why not, right? Like when I navigate the world on with an untrained dog, I do it on a harness and a flexi. And so it's like I'm going to allow as much freedom as I can via the flexi. And when I have to rein them in, they're not going to understand why or what to do about it, and they're going to be super uncooperative. They're going to pull me. I'm going to pull them. It's going to be a whole shit show. If we're going to have disagreement about direction and speed, we're going to do that in the harness.
Yeah.
We're not doing that through the collar. Our collar will henceforth be for cooperation, not conflict. And our harness is what we disagree about shit through. Now that's great because what's that?
Random question, just out of curiosity, because you do pulling sports, right? So does the disagreement on the harness with the flexi and the untrained dog actually help?
Yes.
Pulling on the harness, yeah.
Yes. So this is what I'm saying. For me, it's a twofer.
Yeah.
A twofer. When I put a dog on the harness to navigate, an untrained dog on the harness to navigate the world, what I'm doing is I'm preserving their collar for a conflict-free relationship. Because if we drag each other around through the day, 18 hours of the day, we are disagreeing through the collar. And then we do a 30-minute training session twice a day on collar communication.
Of course, yeah.
That's an hour out of 19. The net total is fuck this, I don't listen. You know what I mean? And so what I do is I navigate the world on an untrained dog on a harness. I'm preserving my training relationship with the collar. I'm developing fluency in their relationship with me through the leash and collar before I try to use it to navigate potential disagreeing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the harness, sometimes they get to the bush. Sometimes I pull them away from the bush. Sometimes I give up on pulling them away and I let them have it. And all of it would develop horrible leash walking skills. But I don't care because one, I'm preserving my collar, and two, I'm building my harness. Because later, within a month, my dog is capable and competent. And that means I can walk them around cooperatively with no conflict on a collar. And when I put a harness on them, they're going to dig and go. But I want that because when we do the spring pull, when we do fast cat, when we do dock diving, when we do mill racing, when we do skijoring and canny cross and all the games we play on harness. The harness tells you can't move, and you tell the harness to go fuck itself, and you go twice as fast. And that's great. That's awesome. It's wonderful. Who cares, right? So for me, I'm building my sport harness that I'm going to use for fulfillment later while preserving my collar for training and communication. So now, okay, so I have a dog with a neutral relationship, or at least I'm not pissing him off through the collar throughout the day. So I make my collar neutral step one. My collar's neutral step one. Step two, I'm going to make my collar have something good to say. So I'm going to take my leash attached to the collar, and I'm going to go pop, food, pop, food. Now, when I say pop, what I mean is in the beginning, something a dog just notices. It's not aversive. It's done on a giant padded fucking fur-lined collar. It's not aversive. It just neutral stimulus, right? And on a real soft dog, I might not even pop the collar. I might literally jingle it.
Yeah.
Because if I pulled on it at all, they'd shit themselves. So there's collar stimulus, food, collar, food, collar, food, collar, food, collar, food. I want to keep doing that process until my dog has an appetitive response to a decently hard collar pop. Now, I don't mean not pain. What I'm thinking is if my dog and I were to accidentally turn opposite directions from each other.
Yeah.
We're walking down the road, I turn right, they turn left, and I don't know.
Yeah.
And they hit the end of their leash. Not at a full run, not at a gallop. You know what I mean? Like we're just walking opposite directions, not realizing it.
Yeah.
The the little bump that he gets when he hits the end of the line, I do not want that to create any negative feeling.
Yeah.
I want the response to that bump to be, oh shit, and run back to dad. Food? Dad, you got something? That's what I want. I want an appetitive reorientation to me on a collar, air quotes, pop. The intensity of the pop should be something like if I'm playing with my dog on a long line and they see a squirrel and start to take off running and I step on the line for safety. I don't want them to receive that as a fuck you correction penalty.
Yeah.
I want them to receive that as an appetitive reorientation to me.
Yeah.
So it is a classical conditioning, an appetitive response to a collar pop. Now on an easy, tough dog, I could start it with a pretty good pop and food, and they're like wagging their tail and happy, hell yeah. And that's a 5 to 10 minute process. On a real soft dog, it might take a few days to be able to actually put tension on the leash without them, and being bad. So step 1, harness when I'm not training to make my collar at least neutral. Step 2, go from neutral to good. Pop pop means, hey, daddy's doing some shit, right? Great. Just like clicker training, dude. You have a conditioned collar when if my dog's asleep and I pop his collar, he comes zipping to me for food.
Yeah.
Just like clicker, right? Okay. Once I have that, I'm going to take my dog. I put him on a 30-foot line. We're going to play this game that we call red light, green light. I use a 30-foot long line. I use the same flat buckle agitation collar that's been conditioned. I have food on me, so I can give the dog food when they're close to me. I usually will like to have a toy on me if my dog is a toy dog. If they're not a toy dog, I can use food for that piece of it as well. And it's a 30-foot long line. I'm in an area with as few distractions as I can reasonably get. And no tangles, which means there's nothing inside this training space for them to wrap themselves around. So either my indoor studio or a baseball field or a big parking lot or whatever, like some big open space with nothing for them to get tangled on and no big distractions to speak of. So that's where I start. Food at the pocket, 30-foot line, no distractions, no temptations, and no tangles. Now, if I have a dog for whom I am at least some kind of value, like if I've already done nothing but the collar pop drill, they've learned that when I put my hand on a leash, I'm like, hey, you ready? They're like, hell yeah, we're doing something. Even if the only thing we've ever done is collar pops. But in the week it took me to condition his collar, I have probably also played tug, done rub downs, played ball, done play, some wrestling. We've gone out on nature hikes together. Like we've already, by the time this starts, we've already established I'm a cool dude and I do fun shit with you, right? And so when I get out and look like I'm doing something, they're usually pseudo attentive already because they're like, interesting dude is beginning to do some shit. Now, this is an interesting feature. If my dog stands perfectly still and I just start walking in one direction, right? If I have a 30-foot line and they do not follow me, it will be roughly 6 to 8 steps or 3 to 4 seconds before they hit the end of their line, right? That'll happen. The reason we do a 30-foot line when we're teaching the follow, like the loose leash walking, is because a 6-foot bubble is incredibly hard for dogs. Like it's not their natural proximity. Like that's not their proximity. And so that's unnatural. I mean, 30 foot's not natural. 30 foot's still short, but at least it's less frustrating and irritating than 6 foot. And so it's like Tetris in the beginning. When you're not good at Tetris, it takes 4 or 5 seconds for the piece. You have lots of time to figure out what you're doing.
Which way you can turn it, how,
Dude, if it goes, you better be good. If it's going fast, you better be good. That's the thing. When I take off walking and I'm on a short leash, by the time my first step hits the ground, the dog's been checked. Which means the Tetris piece is going real fast. The dog either better be really good and enjoy the game of Tetris, or he's going to lose a lot and hate this. So the 30-foot line lets the Tetris piece move super slow. So there's not a ton of stress. And he can be like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay, great. So this is the deal. I will teach now. I usually, when I tell people to start, I just start walking. That's me. But I've been doing it a long time and have a fairly good read on dogs, and I kind of am familiar with the process. When I'm teaching a brand new, never done shit owner, then I don't start walking. I first just start teaching proximity, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're standing perfectly still. Now, obviously, if the dog is at the end of the 30-foot line pulling into it, it's not aversive from the nature of the collar, but it is probably annoying because they're like, "Ugh, I can't, I
Yeah.
feel limited and restricted," and that's kind of annoying. So at 30 foot and past, we get annoyance. If they take 1 6-inch step back, we're now completely neutral. So from the end of their line to about arm's reach away, like if I extend my arms out like a 2-foot pull around me, it's completely neutral. There's no discomfort. There's no interaction with me. It's not good. It's not bad. It is totally neutral.
Yeah.
When they get inside this arm's length bubble around me, I want to see them and acknowledge them.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, how you doing? There he is. Love you, buddy. Good boy, right? Like I see you, I acknowledge you, I love you. If they end up beside me at my pocket, like at my left side, I see you, I acknowledge you, and I give you food.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I feed, not constant, not like a steady lure, but there's piece of food, second or two, piece of food, second or two, piece of food, second or two is great. So as long as you're at the pocket, you're getting a trickle of food.
Yeah.
So there's these zones, there's these proximities to me and their relationship to goodness. Right at my pocket, amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of close-ish to me, awesome. Not close to me, it's fine. You know what I mean? Like it's not good, it's not bad, it's nothing.
Yeah.
At the end of their line, mild annoyance, right? Via restriction, not via collar. Just mild annoyance at restriction.
And at this point, you're not feeding anymore for hitting the end of the leash.
No. So what I'm just talking shit. So look, I don't. This is the interesting trick. I'm not feeding for hitting the end of the leash. I'm feeding for finding my pocket.
Yeah.
Now, if the collar was not conditioned, this would be a problem. But if my dog sees a rabbit, takes off running, and hits the end of his leash, he's going to go, oh shit, food from dad. Instead of sitting at the end of his leash and agitating at the rabbit he can't get, he's going to get the dink, and the dink is going to make him go, food, and he's going to come running back. Now, I've just been giving it to him, but now my hand is faced back at my left pocket. So he comes back looking for the food and goes, well, shit, it's right there. Why don't you turn your hand over and give it to me? I'm going to be like, no, man, you got to get it. And then he's going to have to flip his little ass around, and he gets food. And now he realizes good comes from the pocket.
Yeah.
I've just changed his orientation to feeling the collar input as a reminder to check back to me and not. So he's getting paid for being close to me. He's not getting paid for hitting his collar. And that's very important. Because if you're hitting the collar, he's just going to go run out and bang the end of his collar over and over again. I pay you for being close to me. The collar just reminds you that that's there when you've forgotten because you're distracted. That's it. Okay. Once the owner feels comfortable with these proximities, because I mean, like if the dog's walking across my bubble, I don't say shit to him. And as he walks through my little zone, I go like this, hey, there he is. Good. And he walked out of my bubble. I shut up. And when he stepped in my bubble, I'm like, Johnny, what do you? And he stepped out of my bubble and I shut up. I learn there's this proximity to me that is awesome. There's a place that's particularly awesome. Close to me is good. Right next to me is amazing. Everything else is, it's fine, right? And so he figures out his advantage is in being close to me, right? Once we have this worked out, and I don't even do that. I just start walking because I can kind of do it on the fly. But if it's a brand new handler, I do that little standstill proximity drill. And then look, we have a dog that's very interested. Once you start feeding a dog at the pocket, it's very hard to lose them.
Yeah.
So I go like this. I go, cool. Now we're ready to play the game. And this is where it becomes Koehler-esque, right? Because in Koehler, what they say is you go, stop, stand there, you go, you make a triangle, you go, you stop, you stand there, you count to 10. You turn, you go, you stop, you stand there, you count to 10. And the dog will stay with you even if it's just keep his head attached. Okay, cool. I'm still going to play that game, but because of the foundation that we just laid, the game is going to feel, one, almost impossible for me to shake my dog because they want to be close to me.
Yeah.
And this is why I have a dog that wants to be close to me. And I go, now that you have a dog that wants to be close to you, you're going to play keep away. This was an interesting line I got. I was doing this, but I didn't have the language for it. I was like, yes. When I was talking to Ivan 2014 or something, and he was talking about he's got 3 steps to teaching healing. He's got a 3-step process for teaching healing. Mind altering, right? He goes, step 1, teach him the position. Teach them what it is. Here is good. This is good. Then you teach them it's their job to be in the position, not your job to put them in the position. They have to fix stuff. Like if here's the position and it moves slightly, it's their job to fix it and get back to position, not my job to lure. Like step 1, teach them the position. Step 2, teach them the position moves and it's their job to fix it. Step 3, play keep away.
Yeah.
Everybody obsesses about how do I keep you here? And he's like, no, dude, how do I shake you?
Yeah.
And that's a very different thing. So instead of teaching the heel, technical focus heel position, I teach kind of these proximities. Relationship to me equals like right here, amazing. Close, good. Not close, okay, no problem. End of your leash, annoying. Cool.
Yeah.
And then I use that little bubble and I go, look, it moves. Now that you understand the bubble moves. Your relationship to that bubble isn't just you coming in and out of that zone. It's also me moving. Yeah. And so I just take off, walk, and I go, now look, I want you to imagine the game is this, and this is going to sound so weird, but the game is I'm trying to get you to hit your collar. My goal is to trick you into hitting your collar, which means, and we call it red light, green light, because the only thing I can do is go and stop. If you're standing still, and I think if I go and you continue to stand still, I'm going to get you to hit the end of your collar.
Yeah.
If you're both traveling and you're not paying attention to me and I stop and you continue going, you're going to hit the end of your collar.
Yeah.
And I tell them we're literally playing an actual game. Every time you get the dog to hit the collar, you get a point. Every time he dodges the collar, he gets a point. And we're going to play first person to 10 points wins.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And from the beginning, they are playing an actual game. And what always happens because of what we just did, because of the little thing that we just did, and the collar punt, right? Even if I get a point, the dog still gets a cookie and is then reminded to stick with me, which makes it less likely that I'm going to get another point. So what happens right away, because we fed him at the pocket, of course, they take off and the dog stays there, but it's a 30-foot line, remember, in the beginning. You take 2, 3, 4 steps and the dog is like, hey, where are you going? And then keeps up with you. And I go, 1 point dog, because remember, you took off. That's your turn. You made a green light move and he dodged it. So he gets a point.
Yeah.
And then when he finds the pocket, the person goes, oh, you got me. And he gives them food. And the person stops because it's their red light move. They stop. And the dog, because he's getting food, fucking totally stops. And I go, 2 points, dog, 2-0. And the person goes, shit, I got to shake him. And then starts, and of course, immediately the dog immediately wins 10-0.
Yeah.
So, okay, if the dog wins 10-0, we make it harder. So what are the ways in which we can make this harder? We can make it harder by shortening the line, because he's got to make the decision faster before he hits the end. So the Tetris piece comes faster. We can remove food from the pocket. We can add distractions and temptations, and we can add tangles.
Oh, tangles. Yeah.
Interesting, right? Yeah. Because again, when I'm loose leash walking, unless I'm healing my dog, if I'm loose leash walking, I need my dog to understand it's their responsibility not to let things split our line.
Yeah.
They can't go around the other side of a person. Most people teach heel because they don't have a true loose leash. Like the dog's pulling or heeling, but heeling is an absence of leash. Heeling is a short circuit the leash idea, not a loose leash idea. And so, like, if I go between two telephone poles, I need my dog to, I don't want them to go around one.
Yeah.
I want them to go whoop and not get tangled up, right? Okay. Now, I always suggest we kill the food at the pocket as the first thing. Because if we keep the food at the pocket and we do all this other shit, we still don't know that they actually learned any of those other lessons of resist temptations, resist distractions, don't get tangled, because they're just following the food at the pocket.
Yeah.
So first, I'm going to get rid of the food. Now, not necessarily in one fell swoop. Maybe I was feeding them every time they found my pocket. Maybe I switched to every other time. Maybe I switched to, you have 3 pieces of food that you can use at your discretion throughout this round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm going to reduce until 0 the food at the pocket.
Yeah.
Right. And so when I reduce the food at the pocket, the dog, of course, starts having more of a checking out the world vibe. And when they go to check out the world, I go. And if they hear me and go, hey, son of a bitch, and they follow me, oh, you got me, good boy. Now, remember, they're in the zone. Good boy. Now, oh, you found me. Love, love, love. And then I stop. And if they keep walking towards the distraction, but they don't hit the end and they turn around and I go, oh, you got me. All right. And we have this whole awesome interaction. If they do hit the end of the line because they're not paying attention, the dink brings them back running to me. They get food at the pocket either on 100% or we're on a variable. But even if it's variable, it's still okay because the pocket variably pays, right? And so it's great. Even as I reduce food at the pocket, it still maintains their appetitive response to the collar pop, right? But very quickly, we get a dog invested in the idea of the game of dodge the collar.
Yeah.
He's trying to not get dinked. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so playing the same, Koehler was like, I dare you not to come with me. And I'm like, I dare you not to come with me. I'm going to get you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a different vibe. And the dog in Koehler is like, fuck, I hope you don't catch me. The dog that I play with is like, you're not going to catch me, man. I'm going to get you. You're not going to catch me. Great. And so we get a dog that very happily loose leash walks with us. Now, once I can take the food out of the pocket, and again, I'm only playing to like 5 moves, like 10 points, something, a 2-minute game, like a 1.5, 2-minute game. We play the game. All right, so I gave the basic format of the game. Now I'll give the basic format of the training cycle, and then we'll talk about increasing the difficulty. So the basic format of the game, 30-foot line, food at the pocket, no distractions, no tangles. I get my dog. We play first person to 10 points. It's probably going to be my dog. Yeah. At the end of the game, I'm going to go, yes. And if it's a toy, play with the toy. If it's personal play, great. If it's food, more food play, great. But there's going to be a big old reinforcement event with me at the end of the game. So let's go is the name of the game to the dog. To humans, I call it red light, green light. To the dog, let's go is the indication of the ditch you game. Yeah. And then after a minute or two of the ditch you game, I go, yes. And I pay. And then I'm going to go, okay, and let them fuck off. Yeah. I'm going to follow them around. Now, if I need to hook it to their harness because they don't cooperate with the collar, hook it to their harness. But they're still on a 30-foot long line. And I tell people, do not touch the leash unless the dog is going to die. Yeah. If the dog's going to die, do something. But if the dog's not going to die, shut your mouth. And if they go around a tree, then you go around the tree to avoid the tangle. If they don't avoid the tangle right now, you do. Yeah. You know what I mean? If they go under a bench, either let go of the leash or crawl under the bench because you do not fuck with them in this window. Yeah. And the cycle becomes follow me, I pay you, you lead for a minute. Follow me, I pay you, you lead for a minute. The letting them lead is extremely important. And that's a part that a lot of people don't do. Letting them lead is extremely important. One, it makes it where I'm not this constant, my direction, my way, the highway, you fucking listen to me. Yeah. That's hugely important. Like, dude, the proposition on the leash that most people make with their dog is either or. Either you walk with me or you go see and you go investigate and you go interact. It's either or. I want to create a baseline, this also proposition. Mm-hmm. Walk with me. past distractions, walk with me, and then fucking go check stuff out, dude. I don't care. Like, it's fine. This also, walk with me and then go check stuff out. Like, when my dog walks past a bush and he can't go sniff the bush because he's busy walking with me, I shouldn't in their head have this, fuck, I never sniff bushes.
Yeah.
In their head, it should be like, I got to do this right now, but I'll be back, bush. Don't worry about it. I'll be back. You know what I mean? Okay. So that cycle is extremely important. So follow me. We play Let's Go, red light, green light. I yes you, and then I okay you, and I follow you around. And we do cycles of that. That's the loose leash training session. And we might spend 45 minutes doing those cycles.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're still in a training field, in a designated space, or yeah.
Yeah. In that spot. Like, whatever it was that you just walked with me past and didn't go investigate, go investigate. It's fine.
Yeah.
Go check out all the corners, man. I don't need you. I'm not going to nag you. Like, I'm not going to backseat drive you all the time. It's totally fine. Okay. So now I have a dog that wins the game because he's on a 30-foot line, food at the pocket, no tangles, no distractions. And I yesed him, and then he went and explored for a little bit. And I've got like 3 minutes in each, 3 minutes of follow me, a minute or two of play, and then 2-3 minutes of I follow you around, and I'm going to do cycles. Well, the second cycle of red light, green light, he beat me 10-0, which means I got to make it harder because a game that's not challenging ain't fun. It's got to be challenging enough. And so I go, all right, let's reduce food. So now I'm only going to feed you half the time you find my pocket. I'm only going to feed you half the time.
Yeah.
And we play the same game. And this time, because the food is reduced, I touch him 6 times. And so he beats me, but it's 10-6. By the time he gets to 10, I got 6. So it's 10-6. Okay, I'm still going to yes him, and I'm still going to okay him. But when I come back, I do not make it harder.
Yeah.
He only beat me 10-6. That's not very good. Like, that's not domination. So I don't make it any harder. We're going to play that level again until he gets really good. Yeah. And when he beats me 10-2, now I'm going to make it a little harder. And I'm going to remove food at the pocket altogether.
Mm-hmm.
No food at the pocket. Now I'm only playing for a minute or two. I'm only playing 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And he's invested. And so now I go and I stop and I go and I stop, and he drifts because I don't have food, but he does check me out and he stays close and he's not hitting his collar. And so when he gets there, I love him, you know? And now he's still kind of like, where's my pay? Where's my pay? Where's my pay? But I'm only going to do this for a minute or two, and then I'm going to yes him.
Yeah.
And when I yes him, he's like, oh, I still get paid at the end. I just might not get paid during the round, but I'm still getting paid at the end. No problem.
Yeah.
I follow you, I get paid. I follow you, I get paid. I follow you, I get paid. And then I get to go fuck off and have fun in the world. Great, awesome, good day, wonderful day. And so now we're playing no food in the round. I go, let's go. And I'm trying to ditch my dog. And I can't shake him. On a 30-foot line. I can shake him by 10 feet, but not 30, right? So I can't shake him. And I'm paying him at the end, and then we're doing an okay session. Great. So now I'm going to make it harder. So I go like this. I take 1 arm's length off the leash.
Yeah.
And now it's a 25-foot leash. So now instead of 6 seconds to make the right decision, he's only got 5 seconds to make the right decision. And the Tetris piece moves faster.
Yeah.
If he gets dinked because he's not paying attention, and he gets dinked, he still doesn't go, oh, because I didn't say fuck you. I went, don't forget, good shit from me, buddy. Good shit from me, buddy. And it's not a lie, because at the end of the session, good shit does come.
Yeah.
So the collar was never a lie. It became variable, not negated.
Yeah.
Okay. So I shorten the line. I add distractions. I add temptations. When I add tangles, very intentional, I find something. And if the leash is 25 feet long, I walk 24 feet away from it.
So the tangle is very obvious to the dog. Yeah.
If it's super obvious, if you're at all following me, you don't get hit.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, he goes around it, no problem, because he's not paying attention. But when they go around it, if you let the dog go 3 feet all the way around, when they hit the tangle, they try to come back to you, and the tangle is 6 feet back, and they're not going to figure it out. And when you try to fix it, you're pulling them away from you. It's a whole fucked up thing.
Yeah.
If it's 1 foot, they go around it, and right as they go around it, they go, oh shit, and they get stuck for a second, and then it's very obvious. They go, whoop, and they fix it, and they come running back to you. Hey, there you are.
Yeah.
And I got you. And now they realize I'm using tangles to get them.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you little fuck. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
using distractions, because when somebody goes, hey, pup, 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 and I take off to the right, and they're not paying attention to me because somebody's going, hey, pup, 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 and then they get the dink, and they go, oh, and they didn't realize I was 25 feet away. They go, shit, you got away, and they chase. And now they start to realize I'm using tangles and distractions to win.
Yeah.
Just like when we play tug, the distraction, same thing. I'm using tangles and distractions, and then they're like, all right, you're not going to get me like that, dude. When you do this process, it sounds like a really long and convoluted, complicated process. But when you do this process, I swear to God, as a general rule, about a week.
Nice.
For the most difficult dogs you've ever dealt with in your life, 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
You get a dog who doesn't have the precision, attentive heel of like always in this particular position. They might be on your left side. They might be on your right side. They might be right in front of you. They might be behind you, whatever. But you cannot. You're playing on a 4-foot leash. No food on me, 4-foot leash. And I can go, let's go. And I can play a 5-minute unbroken round. People with food, people with toys. It looks like PSA level healing. Somebody's like, like hitting them in the head with a toy. And they're like flipping them off, looking at you like you will not shake me. You will not pitch me. And then we have this really robust with me behavior. That's not just a healing behavior, because I can walk in between 2 really tight poles that I have to squeeze through. Yeah. And my dog will squeeze through it too, because he's like, you're not wrapping me around that thing. Fuck you. You're not getting me. Because this is a game. I'm playing the game, ditch you. Yeah. And they will win this game because it's a competitive game. And then once we get that, dude, I have a dog that when I go, let's go, I can go through anything. Yeah.
And at that point, you take it out in the real world.
Then we go out on, well, so then again, because people with really bad dogs and really not so good handlers need successive approximation. So of course you could just take it out on the road. But what I tell owners is, look, hook them to the harness, put their collar on them, hook them to their harness. Let them drag you, like you drag them, they drag you, just like you've been doing outside, not in training. Mm-hmm. When you have the time and the bandwidth and the right situation, hook them to their collar, say, let's go, and play the game for a block or 2. Yes. And then hook them back to their harness and let them drag you around a little bit. No problem. And then if you do a 30-minute walk and there's only 3 3-minute rounds of let's go, you know what I mean? And the rest of it's on the harness, no problem. But next week it's 3 5-minute rounds. And next week it's 4 5-minute rounds. And then at some point you say, let's go. You walk out the house and you haven't hooked them to the harness in 2 weeks. Don't put the harness on them. Fuck it. They're collar flown. Yeah. For me, everybody gets to my system, if you will. Once we get to the part where they can do at least half the walk and let's go, instead of being harness and stuff like that, I just put the dog on a collar on a flexi. And then the agreement that I make in my mind with my dog is this. If I ask you to walk with me, you must, no matter how fucking crazy the distractions are, you must walk with me if I ask. But I will only ask you if I have to. Yeah. Or training for the day that I'm going to have to, and I need to make sure it exists. Yeah. If I have to for 6 months, it might not be there. Right. Yeah. So like, I'm only going to ask you if I need to, or if we're logging in practice hours to make sure it's there when I need you to. Yeah. You'll see me and my dogs on a flexi, downtown Manhattan, downtown Boston, in the middle of a fucking PetSmart on a flexi. Yeah. Because when I touch the collar, they reorient to me happily. They're not frustrated by the collar. They don't pull into the collar because we haven't done that in 6 months. That's not the relationship we have with the collar. Yeah. They get their urge to pull out in other avenues. They get their urges to explore out all the time, including this. Yeah. So if I ask them to walk with me, we're in Petco, they're cruising up and down the aisle in their little flexi, no problem. Here comes
the not to be tangled. Yeah.
And they know not to get tangled because they understand. And if
Yeah.
they start to go too far, I can say stay, and they don't go any further. I can recall them. I can tap them, and they come running back to me and give them a little scratch on the head. No problem. And then what happens is I go out in the world with my dog on a flexi. They're cruising around. They know their limitations. They don't get tangled. If I need them to walk close to me, I can. If I ask them to walk close to me, I can either pay them with a toy, with food, or with just personal play that we've developed, or I can just release them back to exploration as a reinforcer. They still don't feel cheated because they did what I asked them and they got something good for it. And that something good is freedom, if not A and freedom. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Perfect sense. Yeah.
That's the system. I condition the collar and harness. I teach 30-foot long line with a conditioned collar, the idea of proximities to the dog. Then I teach them that those bubbles can move and stop, and it's their job to reorient. And then immediately play the game of keep away. I make it as easy as they can possibly be for them to win. When they win, I make it harder. If they're struggling, I don't make it harder. If they struggle too hard, make it easier. If I came out and played on a 10-foot line, but they're having a particularly bad day, go back out to 15-foot, dude. Who cares? No problem.
Yeah.
And then once you get a dog that is able to be fluent and do it for a period of time on a short leash under high distractions, we take it out in the world. And we either go from flexi, let them explore, to loose leash walk close to me, or if I don't have the ability to be on a flexi because it's crazy tight neighborhood, I go harness, between the harness and the collar until they're so fluent they don't need the harness, and then we just do the whole walk on the collar.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. That's like it is really Thank you for going over this again. Like
it's interesting because it's cute. It's essentially, if you look at the framework, if you look at, like, every time I've done this at a seminar, everybody's like, "Wow, that's fucking great! What a great idea! This is amazing!" And we get results with impossible to loose leash walk dogs by the end of the seminar. They're fucking walking loose. Like, it's nice. It's really good. It's super high efficacy rate, right? And at some point, when we're at the point where we're playing the game, and I go and I stop and I go and I stop and I go and I stop, somebody goes, "Hey, that's just Koehler," and I'm like, "Yes." If Koehler liked dogs, this is what it would have looked like. Yes, dude. Yes. But it is interesting because it's the format of Koehler, as in we're playing the game of keep away. Like, I'm still setting up some cones and walking my pattern and going and stopping and trying to catch the dog when he's not paying attention. And I dare you to not pay attention, because if you don't, I'm going to get you. It's that basic framework. But the affect is totally different. And because the affect is different, it does change the dog's experience.
Yeah, it's playful. It's a playful.
It's not negative reinforcement. In the beginning, it's not negative reinforcement. In the beginning, it's he's just following treats, and you know what I mean? He treats in his nose, or a collar tap reminds him to come get treat. Like, he's just like, ooh, like, he's not. Very quickly, he turns into, you're trying to catch me, and I'm trying to not let you catch me.
Yeah.
And the catch is indicated by the dink on the collar.
Yeah.
And so now the dog is playing the game, avoid the dink. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so I look like a Koehler guy, dude, when I'm doing greetings and there's somebody and I go, "Let's go." And I start walking straight towards the person, and the dog drifts out in front of me a little bit, and I make a short stop, and I start backing up, and the dog flips and is like, "You're not going to catch me." The dog only stopped going forward to avoid the collar pop. But in no part of his mind is this experience aversive.
Yeah.
He would sign up, dude. It's like kids will sign up for dodgeball. You will sign up for hot hands. It's like there are games that are pure negative reinforcement, but they are not aversive. I am doing to avoid. I'm only moving my hand to avoid the slap. I'm only ducking to avoid the ball hitting me. But no part of me finds this experience aversive. In fact, the game itself is fun as shit, and they'll sign up for it when you ask them. You want to play dodgeball? Ooh, dodgeball. Right? Even though that is pure negative reinforcement.
And part of it is that opting into it, right? Like, I guess at least among humans, part of it is that I'm opting in, and it's not being done to. It's not done to me. It's like I want to do it, right? I want to play.
I'm not receiving. I'm participating.
Yeah.
And it's cool. Look, now what will eventually happen? What will eventually happen? Because this is just the case, is at some point one day, I go, let's go. And the dog is like so amped, so distracted, so fucking gone that they're like, I do not opt into this game. Go fuck yourself. And on that day, when I make my about right turn, when I'm like, I'm gonna drop the slack and turn and go, when the collar dinks him and it pulls him towards me, maybe on that day it's not the happy, oh yeah, dad. Maybe on that day it's like, damn it, I didn't want to listen to you. I was gonna go fuck with that beagle. I didn't want to listen to you, but I guess I will, and now I'm gonna come with you because I have to, and you're making me.
Yeah.
But one, I think not starting there is so valuable.
Yeah.
I mean, one, why not, dude? Like, why not start with the playful, enjoyable version of it? And then if maybe potentially one day we get into an actual disagreement and I must insist you come with me and you finally go, oh, fine, and you come with me. That's one discussion we had 2 years after the fact. Not every discussion we've ever had our whole relationship with the leash.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do it that way. And then honestly, there's those dogs that if you start with negative reinforcement, a third of the dogs in the world, if you start with negative reinforcement, they just go flat, fucking half dead. They hate life. The other half the other third try to kill you. There is a third of the dogs that are like, I guess I'm doing it, and they take it fine. Well, maybe not enjoyable, but they don't die, they don't flatten or attack. But man, you get a real hard dog, and I'm used to working with very aggressive dogs. You get a real hard dog, and you try to put insistence and compulsion and negative reinforcement, the real like you must because I insist. You try to put that shit on them too soon, they will make you pay for it. You know what I mean? But I don't want to treat own killer dogs get the utmost of respect and cooperation from handlers. Because they must, because they're killers and they won't tolerate any less than cooperation. They won't tolerate any less than the minimum. Like, you don't fuck with me. And so they get so much respect and patience and successive approximation because they're killers. And I'm like, why don't you just treat all dogs like treat all dogs like that? Imagine if every dog had a button they could push and fucking end you. How would you train a dog? And just train them all. Just train them all like that. How about that? How about
that's it? That's a great metaphor. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's wild because it's like there's this thing that you can do to a lot of dogs, and then there's this thing that you must approach the really, really dangerous dogs, not with kid gloves, but like you better layer in a bunch of relationship to make them like you, and you better be the source of a lot of joy to make them find value in you, and you better approach them with politeness and respect. And if you're going to ask them for something, you better ask them for a reasonable amount. And you know what I mean? Like, you got to sneak up your authority and insistence over time as they believe you have the right to give them that kind of authority and insistence. Like, you have to take it that slow route. You can't do it any other way. And I'm just like, I just grew up with dogs like that. So like, that's all I knew how to do. But then when I started getting easier dogs, I'm like, why wouldn't I? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't I offer the same respect? Like, I don't shake hands with people on the street because I'm scared they're going to beat me up if I don't. I'm polite because I've learned to be polite, not because if I'm not polite, I get beat up.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people are only kind and polite because they're scared of the person. Yeah. And so when I look at a lot of balanced dog trainers, the only dogs they treat with respect, and this is not a general, I'm not shitting on all balanced trainers.
Yeah.
Like, there's quite a few people out there who reserve their respect and kindness for the dogs that can demand it of them.
For the dogs they're afraid of, in a way,
If the dog demands it from you, they'll give it. But I'm like, if you get a little golden, they're like, shut up and sit down. You're like, dude, why don't you just, how about we just be polite because we could be polite? How about that?
Yeah. No, but like, I also find it so interesting that in order to come up with this game, you kind of needed to approach it from that healer perspective and then reverse engineer that and take out the parts that you don't like and replace them with other parts.
Yes.
And like build like a different kind of machine based on the same blueprint.
How can we find value? Because he stumbled on value. Yeah. Like I said, 25% of the time, dogs, even done on a 15-foot leash with a choke chain and a bad intention, 25% of the dogs were like, ha ha ha, and totally found a joyful heel.
Yeah.
I was like, that's happening with enough of a frequency that means something is, for it to happen that much, even in the face of all this stuff.
Yeah.
There's something there, dude. There's something there. And so like to try to figure it out and uncover it, you know?
I mean, that's so interesting because like I feel like I have several approaches to loose leash walking, and depending on the person and the dog, et cetera, but like none of them end up being a game like this. They are like, it's like all built on like, okay, successive approximation, slowly and gradually making it more difficult for both the handler and the dog, which works, of course, but like it is boring.
Yeah. Your dog should be into the game of loose leash walking. Like I said,
like, because like it shouldn't be so boring to the human that they're like, ugh, maybe I just don't teach it because it's like so annoying.
There are people, and it gets into a little bit of a paradigm adjustment, because the way this works best is if I teach the dog how to loose leash walk, but I also teach the person how to see the dog correctly.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to take a fucking 1 hour neighborhood walk on a 4-foot leash. You know what I mean? A 6-foot leash, 2 miles an hour for
also
45
like
straight line style. Right?
I don't know. Like that is like, I feel like.
Yeah. But that's what they think they got to do, right? And so when they say to teach me how to loose leash walk my dog, what they're really saying is, I need my dog to be able to walk at my side, bored out of its mind and doing nothing about it for 45 unbroken minutes. And if we did this red light, green light game to build this joyful walk with me behavior, and then we got it to where they could do it for 45 minutes, and we did that every day for 45 minutes unbroken, it would lose its game feature, and it would look like a boring differential reinforcement of an incompatible behavior. They're doing it because you asked them to and you're going to pay them, but they fucking don't like to do it. I'm doing my stupid job to get my stupid paycheck, right? Yeah. It would turn to that. It would lose its gamified feature and turn into that. It only continues to stay that really robust game thing when I don't ask for it for fucking more than 4 or 5 minutes at a time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like I've arrived at something similar from like approaching it from the other direction, but the gamefulness that you have, that has always been missing. So like I also do the like harness for and ideally if you can, like the longest possible line that you feel comfortable with, and let the dog just be a dog, and then like you do like little parts and pieces where you require the dog to work with you, and initially you do it where the dog is already, because of the previous work we've done inside or whatever in a training building or in a boring parking lot, and then you do it on your regular walks where it's the easiest, and then slowly you do that more and more. But like you have to keep that other behavior in there as well. Like you have to keep switching back to letting the dog be a dog, et cetera, et cetera. And we are also building the relationship, and we do this and that. And like ideally, I want you to get to a point where you can have your dog off leash in certain areas too, blah, 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 blah. But like still, I feel like just having that gameful nature that like makes it so much more fun for the person then, I imagine, to go, okay, now we're gonna do 2 blocks of
yeah, dude, it's so much better. And then if I can do my job right, I can make the dog find the joy in 5 minutes of really robust, joyful, heelish type behavior, right? And I can teach the person the relief and joy in the long line in between the heel moments. That they don't need to walk there. And so like that cycle where it's walk with me, I play with you, and then you go fuck off. I'm teaching the person to like be comfortable with the dog going and exploring. And so it's a sneaky bit of the dog's learning how to tolerate the follow you part, and you're learning how to tolerate the dog exploring on a long line part.
Yeah.
Because where I end up with most of my happiest clients is a flexi and a flat buckle collar. And I'm telling you, dude, downtown Boston, super packed, dense, people on each side type shit. Let's go. And it takes me 2 minutes to walk to the red light. And then we go across the street and another 2 minutes to get another block. And then there's an alley. And I see my dog's been doing great. And I go like this. Okay. And I let him 30 feet run around, chase some pigeons in and out. And then they get a little steam out, and I go, let's go. And they fall back in and we go another couple blocks. And I see them looking at a bush, but not going for it because they're on the job. And I go, okay. And I let them zoop and stick their head in the bush.
Yeah.
And then the street's kind of open. So like we walk. And if he tries to get in the road, I can tap his collar and he gets closer to me. But I let him explore and wander around. And he never gets tangled on anything because he knows about tangles. Yeah. And here comes a guy on a bike, and I go, let's go. And he falls in, and the guy on the bike goes past me, and I go, okay. And he goes back out. And if I can teach the dog and the owner how to enjoy that fluency of the switch between the two, we're set.
Yeah.
Because then if they need to get a 10-minute walk with me, the dog totally can. But part of the reason he can is because he knows you're not going to make him do it fucking constantly.
Yeah.
Like, you pay him for it and you're going to let him go, dude. And so he's willing to do it.
Yeah.
So that's the shtick, man.
Yeah, and it's so much like that is, yeah.
It's kind of complete and elegant a little bit, not to sound like a fucking arrogant guy, but like I spent a lot of time with all the moving pieces trying to, how does this fit and how does this go there?
No, this is like, it's so good. It's so good. And I mean, like, a part of what is particularly interesting to me also, like just as a philosophical thing, is like that I don't think you can get to that same point of play, like of gamifying it if you come from the positive reinforcement direction only, because you got to that point because you like took a system that you were like, no
good.
Like most of those dogs, this looks ugly, but what is happening for the dogs who are enjoying it? You actually reached that particular kind of joy because you came from that direction, because you looked at that system and then improved it. Yeah.
It's like it sneaks up slow. So I don't gonna label myself ever about anything really, but like, because I am not averse to using pressure or insistence more accurately with dogs, like I'm not purely positive in the sense that I absolutely will use punishment when appropriate or whatever. But I feel like there's this element of, I absolutely believe that on the worst day ever, when everything goes sideways, the dog's not in a good headspace, the world is working against you, and it all goes sideways, there's gonna be a moment where you're gonna have to insist.
Yeah.
I don't mean electrocute and I don't mean choke. I literally mean we are gonna go left. We're going left. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I have to pick you up, if I have to carry you, dude, we're going left. There's no, I'm sorry, but I must insist, or you must come back to me, or you must stay there. Now, I'm not lording that shit over my dog like that all the time, but like, we're gonna have one or two discussions in training where the dog's gonna go, nah, and I'm gonna, like, man, I've broken out as much payment as I can possibly give you, and you're still going, nah, not today. You know what I mean? And at that day, we're gonna have to have this discussion of, brother, I insist. I love you, but I insist.
Yeah.
I prefer to go consistent duration insistence versus I go so intense you back down.
Yeah.
I prefer to just insist over time, as opposed to I'm gonna make it so hot you have to move. I prefer to just be like, listen, the line I say is like, the sun comes up, tide comes in, gravity goes down, we go left. Like, these are things that are just happening.
Yeah.
And the sun's not mad at you when it comes up, and the tide's not mad at you when it comes in, and gravity's not trying to oppress you. It's just, this is just shit that happens. This is happening. And so I try.
in that situation where your dog wants to go fuck with the beagle to the right and you want to go to the left, and we're not going to fuck with the beagle today, do you just continue walking, or
we're going? Yeah,
and
we're just
like basically, yeah, you're dragging them if they.
I mean, dude, like if it's rough concrete and they're going to be cut up from dragging them, no, I'm going to go pick them up. But like,
Okay.
we're going left. We're going left. Like, there's no, dude. If you're in the middle of a road and a fucking truck is coming, I can't sit there and negotiate terms with you. We fucking gotta go, dude. We are leaving now. You know, especially if I believe in my paradigm of I only ask you for things like that when it's real.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that to show you my authority. Like, I don't fucking gives a shit. Do you know what I mean? I love my wife. I don't tell my wife what to do ever. I have no authorry in my house.
Like that's what love should be. Yeah.
Of course, I can't tell her to do shit. Like, there's nothing. But dude, if she was standing there looking at her phone and a car's coming, and I go, babe, we gotta go, babe, we gotta go, babe, we gotta go, I'm gonna grab her by her fucking hair and pull her out of the road, dude. Like, we're not, like, we can't, like, it would be ridiculous for me to behave like that over pass me the salt or something. Like, that's absurdity. But the reality is, at some point, because of bad situations, not through any fault of my own, not because of lack of training, not because I'm a dickhead, just there's going to be a point in time where I'm going to have to go, like, dude, we must. Like, you're going to get this shot, and I love you, and I'm sorry, but you must get this blood draw.
Yeah.
Now, had I done enough training to have you cooperative care, then fucking congratulations for me. But if I haven't, and I didn't know it until we got there, well, we're still getting a shot. You know what I mean? Sorry, buddy. Like, this is still happening. And so it's like, if I believe that those moments at some point in our relationship are going to be inevitable, it behooves me to prepare us for that moment. And so if we can play the game of listening, like the game of this, and you get acclimated to going for my coaching cues, and you know what I mean? And then it's like, this is just a day of like, dude, if we play dodgeball because you love dodgeball and you think it's the funnest game ever and it's amazing and you're like the world dodgeball champion because it's awesome, you're also going to do really good when somebody's throwing rocks at you. Like, dude, that's actually a pretty good training scenario for learning how to dodge rocks. Not that I would ever want to throw rocks at you, but you know what I mean? Like,
but somebody might,
it makes it easier if in that like loose leash walking scenario, first it starts purely positive. It's not negative reinforcement. It's just cookies and stimulus. It's nothing but positive reinforcement. And then there's this, because of the positive reinforcement, there's this urge to stay with me. And now I'm going to try to catch you slipping. I bet you can't stay with me. And now, you know, I'm trying to win the game of ditch you. And the only way that we know I've gotten you is when this hits you, because that's the indicator that you weren't paying attention and I got away with you. Now they're framed on dodging this and going with this. And now we play a game of negative reinforcement, which makes them fluent in negative reinforcement, which means if I ever have to use negative reinforcement in a not fun way, we have loads of practice of being fluent in that language through the game of being fluent in that language, that if we end up in that discussion, this is not a new discussion we've never had before. This is just the first time it's mattered. This is just the first time it's like, no, seriously. The game's over. Like, you got it. You got it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that it's an interesting transition, because a lot of purely positive people would not find the gamification. They wouldn't find the gamification of negative reinforcement distasteful, but they wouldn't use it, like we talked about last time, because it's in the wrong like it's in the quadrant of reinforcement.
Or it doesn't. It doesn't occur. Like, it just doesn't occur. Like, it just doesn't occur to you if you're not thinking about like that quadrant.
We talked about last time. There's the quadrant. There's emergent negative reinforcement, mild negative reinforcement, and then playful negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
Most balanced and purely positive people don't understand playful negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
They're looking at the choice between emergent and negative. Balanced people go, well, I don't use emergent, but I do use mild. And purely positive people are like, I don't use either. But then they close the window on that quadrant and they can't see gamified negative reinforcement. If they could, I think they would use that. Even if they wouldn't use the other two, they would at least use that.
Which is probably the most powerful and the most interesting one. Yeah.
It's the most important. It's the most useful. It's the most important. And it's the least frequently discussed. It's crazy. But then balanced people poo-poo. One, they don't know about gamified negative reinforcement because they're dealing with the other two. And then they would never bother to precondition the collar and feed every time they're at the pocket. Like they wouldn't use the force-free side. They would just start with negative reinforcement. I make leash pressure, you yield, I go, good boy. And like pressure stops when behavior starts, buddy. That's what it is. Like gentle, kind Koehler, but like it's straight negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
It's like I think there's a real art to actually understanding both sides, not being so dug in on this side that you're not willing to use all the positive, cool shit that can help offset it and help you, and not being so turned off by the other side that you can't see the good parts.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, man, that book was super distasteful, very hard to read, super distasteful.
Yeah.
But teaching a dog to walk on a 6-foot leash by starting on a 15, and even if it was accidentally finding a game, that one chapter, just week one,
that's great. Like, yeah.
Whoa, you know, and then
yeah. And I'm so glad that I read it.
If you go back to the rest of it, you can also see that the Koehler book was really, really good at teaching the idea of it goes classic first, then switches operant.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole ton of time, even though it's distasteful, it's through negative reinforcement, and they lift up on the fucking leash and choke the dog into a sit, whatever. But it's like it was the word sit and a very, not even just up on the leash, a very particular set of hand gestures in order to do the up on the leash. So it was a sound and then a movement pattern and then pressure, and a sound and then a movement pattern and then pressure. And very soon what happened is the dog starts seeing the movement pattern and preempting you before the pressure, and then they preempt you before you make the sound and they preempt the movement pattern. And once they're doing that, then they made the switch to operant, as in now that you, on a consistent basis, demonstrably, I go sit and you do before I give you any gesture. You now know within reasonable expectation that the word sit means put your butt down. And so now we're going to add competing motivators. And if you don't, then of course they went way too hard.
Yeah.
With
but
the
like
check.
It was very, very systematic. And
it's not the molding that matters. Yeah. And it's not the molding, and it's not the negative reinforcement that got him into sit, and it's not the way too hard punishment. It was the idea that starting with a classic condition and being aware of when the dog recognizes the pattern, and then once you know they recognize the pattern, switching to operant so they can find their advantage inside the pattern, but not doing it because of an assumption or, yeah, I think they're ready, or that's just where I start. Demonstrably seeing pattern recognition before switching to operant.
Yeah.
That's gold, dude.
Yeah.
That conceptual framework, fucking gold. Not the fact that they use a choke chain and crack the dog's head off. Not that part. That part's trash, right? But just the idea of the systematic switch from classic to operant, instead of just doing one or just doing the other, and knowing when to make the switch. That, like, there's value in that, dude. You just gotta.
It's super systematic, like that. I don't know if he was aware of like the meta level that he was.
Probably not.
Maybe not, right? But yeah.
Yeah. But still, who cares? If you can tolerate reading all the torture porn, you can get a couple of good parts out of it. Like,
and I mean, like, you can complain about the torture porn along the way because it's hideous, and that helps with reading it. But like also the language, partially, where he's like the way he's like relating to the reader, is also not. But yeah, whatever.
Super like good old boy condescending us them type shit's really bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. We would not have hung out, but you know what I mean? Like I said, a broken clock's right twice a day. If you look hard enough, you can take value from anything.
Totally. Yeah.
You got to look hard enough. Like,
One tiny follow-up question, if you have 1 more minute.
Yeah, I got 1 more minute. Let's go.
Okay, so assuming the first time your dog, you're loose leash walking in the real world already, the dog is being really good, but now let's say there's a fence, and behind the fence there's a cat, and your dog really would like to eat cats. So they're like, no, this time I don't. Like, I really want to keep staring at this cat, but it's not time sensitive because you're on a sidewalk.
Sure.
The cat is protected because there's a fence, but
Sure.
it's a good opportunity to make your point, right? That sometimes we really have, like, we got to go left now. How do you make a point in that situation? You don't have to pick up the dog necessarily. You don't have to drag them necessarily. You could do either way.
You got to
out, or what do you do?
You got to make a decision. And I know this is not, everybody wants a here's what you do answer, right? But you got to make a decision. There's 3 ways to deal with behavior, right? You change feels, because if they feel differently, there's a host of different decisions they choose to make, not influenced by economics just because they didn't think of it. Change how they feel, give them something else to do, tell them not to do that. I got to decide which one of these lessons, because you can't teach them all 3 at the same simultaneously. You can teach them very close. I can bang this one out, then switch to this one, then switch to this one. I can do it all in one session, but I can't simultaneously teach each lesson at the same time. So I have to make a decision. Do I want to try to change how the dog feels about this dog? If so, we're going to ditch the loose leash walking altogether and go into either classical conditioning, desensitization, conditioned relaxation, different ways to not affect their behavior, but to affect their feelings, right?
Yeah.
Or we're going to let's go deeper down the rabbit hole of differential reinforcement. I'm going to change my reinforcement structure for this known behavior that you already know how to do. You're just choosing not to do it right now. I can do that by increasing the amplitude of my positive reinforcement or of my negative reinforcement. You know what I mean? So like I can absolutely do that. I can change my distance to the thing to make it not quite so hard. So the differential reinforcement I currently have, even if I don't change anything, holds up, and then systematically get closer and closer as my differential reinforcement survives the proximity.
Yeah.
Or I can punish that behavior. And then I got to make a choice. Am I trying to punish that behavior, or am I trying to contextually punish that behavior during command?
Yeah.
Because those are 2 very different, very
contextually punish the behavior during command.
Because that's not, even though it looks like negative reinforcement, it looks like differential reinforcement, it's not. It looks like negative reinforcement because I made pressure and then my behavior got better. But my behavior only got better because the other behavior that was competing with it became more absent. So I devalued cat aggression. If my loose leash walk is at a 60 value of reinforcement, we'll just use random numbers out of 100, and the cat's a 90. Well, my dog walks past anything 60 or below, no problem, because my reinforcement's at a 60, and so we win. Yeah. Or we'll say my reinforcement is really good. My reinforcement is a 90, and so 90% of the time, dude, my dog heals like motherfucker. But with that one goddamn cat, because it's a 98 and he loses his shit, I could devalue the cat below a 90. I don't have to make it 0. I just have to make it less than 90 so my heel beats it. It looks like I pressured him into my heel, but I didn't. I devalued the cat until my heel beat it. Or I could devalue cat aggression not contextually related to my heel, but just globally, you are not allowed to do that to cats.
But maybe I'm like, well, you can do whatever you want with cats, but when I'm healing, I don't.
Yeah, so like, look, you can kill cats all you want. I don't give a shit, but not while we're healing. We're doing something.
Exactly.
And so in that situation, it's a really tricky, and we definitely don't have time for this, but it's a really tricky thing of there are both ends of the spectrum and both ends of the seesaw. Purely positive people will argue the other side quite a bit. And I did too, and I didn't understand this other one for a long time. Punish, like balance trainers always are like, you can't stop behavior with reinforcement. It's not possible. You can't stop behavior because the definition of punishment is stopping behavior. And so reinforcement starts behavior. So you can't stop behavior with reinforcement. You're like, listen, dickhead, I understand what you're saying. Technically, You cannot stop a behavior with reinforcement. You can only start behavior with reinforcement. However, if you habitually take the right fork in a road and I get you to start taking the left fork in the road, I technically didn't stop you from your feelings about the right fork have not changed. But I made the left fork so goddamn awesome you can't help but chase it. I didn't stop right fork. I just started left fork. But you know what, dickhead, you don't see right fork no more, do you? So shut up. You know what I mean? Like it's a technical.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter for real life purposes. Yeah.
But it does matter in training protocol because how you think you're doing something changes how you do it. And so for punishment, it becomes the same thing. People will try to I can't begin a behavior with punishment. You'll hear this all the time. Like, you can't make a behavior stronger with punishment. That's what reinforcement is for. And it's the same, it's the flip side argument. No, if I can't make a heal happen with punishment, I make a heal happen with reinforcement, whether it's positive or negative. I make a heal happen with reinforcement. But if my dog attacks the mailman during the heal, his value on the mailman was higher than what I had in the heal. Well, if I can reduce his attractiveness to the mailman by 50%, my healing is better. I didn't increase my heal at all. My heal has not increased, even though now we don't see the mailman, and in the absence of the mailman, we do see the heal.
Yeah.
I didn't increase my heal. I decreased my mailman.
Yeah.
But the net result of that is if you don't see the right fork, you do see the left. So at the end of the day, both are valuable in stopping and creating behaviors. If I want to stop a behavior, I need to understand differential reinforcement and punishment globally and contextually. And if I want to increase behaviors, I need to understand reinforcement, both positive and negative. And I also need to understand punishment globally and contextually. Like I don't know if I think I said the same thing twice, didn't I? Anyway, whatever. You understand what I'm saying? It's like both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
You know, like if I need to know both ends in order to do things well. Because what I've been using slang with my clients now, this is not accurate, but it's good slang, is instead of getting into arguments about positive reinforcement or punishment, I say up value, devalue.
Yeah.
Right? Up value, devalue. Like I just got to make a choice. Like right now, I'm trying to heal my dog, and my dog breaks my heel for the fucking cat.
Yeah.
Well, what do I want to do? Do I want to up value my heel, or do I want to devalue the cat?
Let's say you want to devalue the cat in the context of healing.
Yeah, sure. But like, do I want to devalue the cat globally, like universally, or do I want to devalue the cat in the context of the heel? Because I need to know what I want to do, and I need to do it intentionally. But I need to understand, like, why would you never just pick one randomly? Like, if I'm healing, if my heel's a 30 and the cat makes him leave the heel.
I guess if your heel is only a 30, then I would say like you would need to up value your heel.
That's what I'm saying. So I got to make a decision because I could devalue the cat to get him under a 30, but then I'm going to have to devalue the squirrel and the sandwich and the mailbox.
You have to devalue too many things.
Let's just value the heel.
Yeah.
Just up value the heel. Like just stop. Up value the heel. If I cap the amount I can up value my heel, and there's one or two things left, then you devalue that.
Yeah.
Or if my heel's pretty solid, but there's these two things. Well, let's devalue those rather than chasing the diminishing return dragon.
No, you're totally right. Like that is a oversimplified. That was an oversimplified question. You're right. Like it really depends so much.
It's like, hey man, what do we want to do? Want to up value or devalue? Do I want to up value the behavior, the opposite behavior, or do I want to devalue the current behavior? You know what I mean? Which makes more sense, you know?
Yeah, and that depends on the dog and when you meet the cat and why and whatever. Yeah.
And that's if we want to go operant. If we decide fuck operant, let's go classical, then we can desensitize, counter condition relaxation, play that other. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
All right, I got a jet, man.
Wow. Thank you so much for making time. Great to have you on again. Anything you want to shout out quickly that I don't already know about to put into the show notes?
I got a Patreon and a website, and that's about it. Oh, I put that Sit Stay Learn video out. That's pretty cool. So check all that shit out if you want to.
Perfect. I'll put all those in the show notes, and I'll let you go. Thank you for all your time, and talk soon.
I see you.
If you want to support this podcast and my ability to offer free and pay what you can lessons around Mexico City, the best way to do so is my Patreon at patreon.com/adventuredogs. I super appreciate your support. And also, happy last day of Pride Month.